Let's build DeSo with Kenny J. Hi, everyone. So the last two lessons, we've been using the requests library in Python first to get information from the DeSo API, and then in the second lesson to be able to post data via the DeSo API. Now, I hinted in the last one about a library in Python that we could use that's maintained by Aditya. And I hinted that we'd be using that. So that's what we're going to kind of explore today. And we'll see that it's going to save us a lot of time, make it easier to code, make our code cleaner. And I have a fun, what I think is a fun little project that we could use this on. I want to thank Aditya once again for his work on the library. We went back and forth a little bit. I was able to actually contribute just a little bit to it. So that made me happy. I don't want to just freeload off of all of his hard work. And if we go to the pip install page, we'll see, which is on pypi.org, we'll see that you can use pip install to install his library. And so that's what we're going to do first. Now, normally we would just do pip install DeSo, but I know there's changes in the work and some stuff that works now with certain functions. The functions are probably going to be renamed, or rather the methods. And so what we'll do here is we will install this 0.1.4, which for me on December 1st, 2021 is the most recent, but I think in a few days it's going to change. But if you're following along with this tutorial sometime in the future, then it's safest just to do this. That way we're on the same page and you can just follow along and type in exactly what I'm typing in, and there shouldn't be any problems. So let's go to Replit and we're going to create a new REPL. We're going to do Python, and this will be lesson 3. And now in Replit, rather, they have a package manager, and we could install it that way. It was having a little bit of trouble with DeSo, and plus, since we want to install a very specific version, we're just going to go over here to shell, and let me go back to our slide there. Let me grab, let's go back. You know what? Off screen, I'm going to grab that. And there we go. So we're going to do pip install DeSo. See right here, it's trying to encourage me to use their package installer, which I've used a few times and it's worked fine. But like I said, for this one, it didn't seem to want to work great. Whoops. There we go. Let me make sure I got it right. Pip install DeSo equals 0.1.4. All right, I'm going to hit enter. It's going to go through and have to download stuff. While it's doing that, we'll move on. So, all right. While it's downloading, like I said, we'll kind of go ahead and take a look at how this helps us. In the first video we did, if you remember, we used the requests library to do a simple, well, technically it was a post, but we were just getting read-only information. So we were getting the post for a particular user, but we had to write all this code. Now, the nice thing about this library that we'll be using is it hides all this code from us. So in order to do the same thing, all we have to do, we import the DeSo library, we do DeSo post get user post, and we put in the username that we want the post from, and that's it, we get it. In the second video, we wrote information, remember, and then that was an even more involved ordeal. We had to do two different posts. We first had to create the post that we wanted to submit, and then second, we had to sign it so that it would be broadcast throughout the peers in the network. And all of this code that we did gets reduced down to just this. So this makes life easier, right? Here we just import the library, we do a public key, the seed hex. This is not really my seed hex, right? Because this is like a password. And what we'll do here is we will create a post object. We'll do DeSo.post, we'll create the post object, and then on this object, we'll invoke this send method. And in this case, we're just sending through the text. This post was sent using the DeSo Python library. And then it gives us back a status. What we're looking for is a 200, right? So very cool, right? Now, a word about security. We really shouldn't be putting information, especially like this. Of course, we wouldn't put it in our code, but even in the last tutorial, I asked the user for it and we pasted it in, and then I tried to do this little wonky thing to hide the screen, right? The better way to do it would be to store this in these values in environment variables. And so instead of doing public, well, especially seed hex, public key is public. So it's not that important, but we could move that over to our environment variable too. And so this is the way we would want to do it. We have an environment variable called public key and seed hex. We would read those into these variables, and then we would continue on our merry way. But you might be asking, okay, that's nice. Some people might be saying, what does that mean? Others might be saying, well, how do you do it in Replit? Environment variables, as the name implies, it depends on the environment. So if you're using a Windows machine, you can set them at that level. If you are doing work with like AWS with Lambda functions, there's a capability to store that sensitive information in environment variables there. And I'm sure it's the same with probably Azure and Google. Everyone's going to have that capability. And the way you do it here in Replit is you go down to the little lock icon and you do secrets and system environment variables. Cool. So what are we going to do? We are going to do, let's see, we'll create our first one, which is public key. And we remember we will just go to I'll go to my profile and I will copy that. That's my public key, paste it in there, and I do add new secret. So now that adds it there. And they have a cool little thing to help remind you or help give you a hint on how you would import or how you would use that. You'd click import OS, and then down here, I did it out of order. You will want to import your library first before you use it. We'll do that. And then of course, I'm not going to call it my secret. I'm going to call it public key. And then I'm going to go ahead and create one for my seed hex real quickly. And I'm going to pause the video and be back in a second. And I'm back. So I went ahead and created another one for seed hex. And this time I've been using my test account, the Kenny J test. This time I'm going to use my real account because that's where my NFTs are. And so, oh yeah, I didn't tell you that's what we're going to be doing. Yay. Okay. So this is the project that I thought would be fun to come up with. So some of you might be aware of the Octoposse NFTs. I thought it was a really cool, just clever thing that they've been doing. So you mint your octopus, your space octopuses, and they had a whole I think it was a week or a little bit more where we were able to mint a bunch, and they are all unique. Some are more more rare than others. But then part of the draw of this is that there's going to be different generations, and so you can combine two parents to create an offspring octopus with the most rare traits of both parents. The catch is, if you choose to do that, you end up with a new NFT, which is their child, but the two parents die. They disappear. You have to give them back to the makers of Octoposse, and they will burn them. And so you lose them forever. So I thought, okay, before I do that, I want to take a little picture of the cute couple, right? And so yeah, so anyway, I just kind of a dumb little thing, but anyway, I thought it was kind of fun. As you can see, I got just a cheesy little border off the internet. I have to, reverse the second partner so that they're staring into each other's scary eyeballs. And this is what we will work on this little tutorial. So if you're not doing this game, if you don't have these NFTs, that's fine. You'll still learn as we're going through this. So let me go over kind of what we're doing, and then we'll go ahead and do it. So first, what we'll want to do is people like me have more than just two. I've only got 4. Some people have like 16 and stuff, but so I'll want to be able to see all of mine, and then I'll want to be able to choose 2 of them. And then I'll need a process that will create this combined picture. And then third, I'll want to create a post with this new image and post it on my account. And so for this first one, to choose your 2 octopuses, we'll use within this library, DeSo.users.getNFTs, and that'll get all the NFTs. So we'll have to write a little bit of code to just pick out the Octoposse ones. And then second, we'll write some, well, we won't, I'll show you the code and you guys will have access to it. We won't bother going through line for line, but I wrote some custom code to do the image manipulation, so it can grab these 2 images and create that. And then lastly, we will use deso.post.send to send this image to a post. Okay, so first of all, let's go back to, let me get in the right place on this side, on my cheat sheet off to the side. Okay, so we've imported OS to get this, to be able to get our environment variables. And then we will want to import DeSo, and we'll see how easy this is going to make it for us. NFTs equals, this is going to be the variable that's going to hold the list of NFTs that come back. So I'm simply going to do DeSo dot users. There we go. We got a little IntelliSense. Get NFTs right there. And what does it want? It just wants the user's public key. And there's a couple others. I'd never figured out what the reader public key is, so I'm ignoring it. And then is for sale. If you set it to true, it will only return the NFTs that this user has that are currently for sale. But here I'm just going to pass it my public key. And then for the fun of it, we'll print and we'll take a look at what it gives us. So let's hit run. And there we go. Look at all of that. Okay. Some nice, sweet JSON. Okay. Whoops. Try this again. I'm going to highlight all of this, copy, and paste it in here. And we'll clean it up just a little so we could take a look. There we go. So we have a NFTs map. I think I just said it was a list. It's not. It's going to be a map. So instead of having square brackets to indicate a list or an array, we're going to have curly braces, which is going to indicate a dictionary. And our key, we're going to have a bunch of keys in this dictionary, and it will represent the unique key for that NFT. So we take a look at this. What we're really wanting to look for, I think, is we want this image URL. Oh no, you know what? This isn't even an Octoposse. Let me scroll down. That's a different one. There we go. Remember, we talked about this post extra data. So the team at Octoposse is doing the same thing. They're storing a lot of the attributes right here. And one of them is the image, the URL to the image. And you can find the same thing up here. So if I just copied this and just pasted it into a browser, there we go. There's one of my Octoposse. Very nice. So what I want to do next is be able to I just want to create a list. Oops, where's my, there we go. I'm going to create a list of just these image URLs. Okay, so let's go back to our code. We're going to go ahead and we'll create a new function. Whoops. We'll say get octopus NFTs, and we'll pass it the NFTs. And I'll create a list to hold them. Octopus. There we go, just an empty list. That'll be my, what do you call it? Our accumulator, right? So it's going to sit outside of our loop. And then we'll have for, and we're going to use NFTs. We're going to loop through this. And what we are going to, let's take a look here again. Our map, the key is called NFTs map. So we first have to reference that. NF, that was capitalized, NFTs map. And then what we want, we don't want these keys. What we want is the value. So what is on the other side of the colon. So we'll do values, and the variable name we'll give to the items that we're looping through. We'll just call it value. There we go. Values, value, and values. And you know what? I'm just going to, make this go a little bit quicker. I'm going to copy and paste the rest of the magic in here. And whoops. we'll just walk through it. Okay, so let's keep these consistent. We go ahead and we create our accumulator, our empty list called Octoposse URLs. We're going to loop through all the values that are in NFT maps. Within this value, we'll see post entry image URLs. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. So post entry response and then image URLs. And you can see this is a list. So in order to get this out, we're going to have to, we'll just have to, it's item 0 in this list. So that's why we're going to say post entry response, image URLs, and we're getting item 0. Okay, that is our picture URL. And then I want to look further into this, because what I now want to do is make sure it's an Octoposse. So I'm going to go and look into this description. And if I see the phrase intergalactic octopuses, I noticed that this is repeated in every single Octoposse NFT. So this is a good thing I can kind of take a look at and evaluate to make sure this is what I'm looking for. So I'm saying if this is in this post extra data description, that kind of went off to the side, there we go, then I will go ahead and take this picture URL and I will append it to my Octoposse URLs. And there we go. Good old Python. Got to make sure your columns, your indentations are perfect. There we go. So now it's going to go through and it's going to filter out everything that's not in Octoposse and just return a list of this URLs. So let's do that. So we would call it, we'd say get Octoposse NFTs, we would pass it NFTs, and then as what we want returned, we'll call it Octoposse URLs. There we go. So far, so good. So that's that'll give a, and just to make sure everything's working, let's go ahead and test it. Now we shouldn't get all of this gobbledygook. Let me go ahead and clear that, try it again. There we go. And Replic's kind of fun because if it recognizes that it's a URL, it'll let you click on it. So we can click on each one of these, take a look at my beautiful little octopuses, and that'll help me know which one to choose. Okay, so there we go. I don't need this anymore. All right, next, what do we want to do? We want to allow the user to choose. In this case, I just have 4 of them, but I want the user to be able to choose those. And once again, for brevity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and copy in this function, get user choice, and I'm going to pass it this Octoposse URLs list. I'm going to print choose from the following, and I will just go ahead and show all, let me just run it and we'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm not calling it. That's why nothing's happening. All right, let's try this. Get Octoposse user choice, and I'm going to send it the Octoposse URLs, and the choice I get back, I will say Octo choice And let's take a look. Let's take a look real quick before we get any further. This actually returns 2 values. So I'm going to set up 2 variables to catch those 2 return values. So octochoice 1 and octochoice 2 equals, there we go. Let's run it. There we go. So now I could click on this and I could look through them and I could say, okay, how about, and I'm not going to commit to this right now because I want to look at their stats before I mate them. But just for the fun of it, we'll say, okay, I'm going to take number 2 and number 3. So which octopus is first? Number 2, the second, 3. Okay, and it's going to go ahead and put number 1 here and number 2, or actually number 2 here and number 3 there. All right, so far so good. Lastly, well, no, not lastly. Next thing we want to do is, now that we have the URLs for the 2 images of the octopuses that we want to combine. And by the way, I keep resisting saying octopi, and maybe some of you are out there are saying, well, it's octopi. That's what I was taught, but then I later learned it's not, it's just octopuses. So anyway, there. Now I want to create the function that creates that image. Well, that one took me a little while. So I'm going to add that stuff really quickly. I'll pause it and then we'll go over it super quickly and then get back to what we want to work on. Okay, I'm back. So what I did was I created a new folder called assets. I uploaded this frame, and then I also created this module called Octopus Picture Maker, and the function that we will be using from here is called get wedding image. And again, I'll post the URL to this replet, to this REPL, so you guys can use it and copy and paste it and do all that kind of fun stuff. But the main thing we get out of this is that we want to import that function. So from there we go, Octopus Picture Maker, import get wedding image. There we go. And we're going to just turn around and use that right here. And what it does is it accepts the Octopus 1 URL and Octopus 2 URL. So we can just grab these 2, copy, paste, and what it returns is let's take a look. I can't remember if it returns the URL to the image. It returns the path to the image. And so we will create a variable here called wedding image, which is, this will be the path to the local image that will be written here in assets. And then we'll use that later to open that image and then post it to our DeSo account. Okay, let's see what's going on so far. So let's do 2 and 3. And so nothing's happened here. There we go, we're done. But if I look over here now, I see this was number 2 and this was number 3. Notice we reversed it. And then here is the together picture. Okay, we are on the home stretch. Now we have everything. Now we just need to call the DeSo Python library. and send this post off. So now what I did when I was going over this before, I thought, well, maybe someone will look at the picture and maybe not want to send it off. So I'm going to give them an opportunity to bail. So I'll say, do you want to go on? Yes, no, question mark. Oh yeah, and I like to put our little new line characters so that they can write on a new line. And if go on, we'll just take the first letter. So if they type no or just N, and we'll set it to lowercase just in case they do a capital. And then we'll say if it's equal to N, there we go. We are going to just be done. We'll just put pass in there. And then otherwise, we will do what we've came to do. So we're going to, as we went over earlier, we're going to create a post object. So we'll do post equals post, and we are going to pass it our seed hex and our public key. And then next, now we haven't done this before. Before we just posted text, and in the last video we posted text and that extra data. But this time we're going to upload a file. So we need to first upload the image. So we're going to actually call a couple different methods on the post object. So first of all, we're just going to open up this our wedding picture. So right here, the wedding image, that's the path to this one that's called together.png. It's going to give it a title of wedding.jpg. That's when we send it on. But in order to upload it, we're going to do post and upload image. And we will do image file list. So that's the variable that we created right there. And of course, we want to get the response from that. So it's gonna go ahead and write that image, and then it's going to send us back the URL of that image that we just uploaded, because we're going to need that. We're going to need the JSON library too. So we're going to import JSON, and we're going to use it right here. And we're going to convert, what's going to come back is going to come back as a string. We're going to go, so therefore we're going to convert it to JSON. So we're going to do load string, which is this URL response. And we will set it equal to, how about we'll just call it URL response underscore JSON. So I guess I misspoke when I said it's going to send back the URL. It's actually going to send back stringified JSON, but within that JSON, we'll be able to pull the URL, and the key that we will need is called image URL. We're going to store that to just, how about image URL. So now this is actually the URL to that image that we just uploaded. And now that we have that, we can send our post. Send. There we go. So the first thing we'll do is we'll send our message. So I can say, we are pleased to announce, whoops, man, I want to spell this right. Announce the union of, I guess I did name them. Now I can't remember. In a post I named them. Let's see. One of them is intersex, so I'll find a gender neutral name like Tony, but we'll spell it like that. And then how about Steve, but with a crazy spelling. Okay. And then just, I guess, you know, to do a little shameless self promotion. If you, or we're gonna be sending it out right now, but it's gonna take a little while for this video to hit. So if you would like to make your own wedding picture from your Octoposse, a tutorial will be coming soon, right? Build suspense. Okay, so that's our message, but we also want to upload that image. And as you can see, that's the next parameter, image URL. So technically I don't even have to use a named parameter, but I like to, especially with optional parameters. So image URL equals image URL. There we go. And what the heck, while we're at it, let's do post extra data. And we will say created with, whoops, that's not. Let's build DeSo with @Kenny J. All right. Woo, and it's going to return a status. So let's go ahead and catch that return variable and let's print it. Okay. I did a lot of manual coding here. I'm going to hit run. Let's see how it turns out. And for the fun of it, let's bring up my profile here. My profile. There we go. All right. Let's cross our fingers. Let's do 2 and 3. It's going to go through and make those images, and then it should ask me if I want to go on. But sometimes this takes a few seconds. All right. Do you want to go on? Whew. All right. Let's cross our fingers. Yes. Come on. Send back a 200. Send back a 200. No. All right. Let's see what happened here. This is always good to get errors because someone else might get that. Oh, we are pleased to announce a transaction hex key error. Transaction hex. I bet you I messed up something around here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I figured out what it was. So let's hover over this again. Let me, image URL, what does it take? It takes an array, not a string. So what do I need to do? make that into an array. Let's try it again. 2, 3. Do you want to go on? Yes, and I think it's going to happen this time. Come on, 200. Come on, 200. Woohoo! Status 200. All right, let's go here and refresh. And there we go. All right. If this was helpful for you or fun, go ahead and like it, or maybe even give me diamonds. That would be so nice. We are pleased to announce the union of Tony and Steve. If you would like to make your own wedding photo picture from your Octoposse, a tutorial will be coming soon. Wow. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will be back with some more tutorials on programming with DeSo. Thank you very much.